Joined now by the head coach of the Edmonton Oil Kings, Luke Pierce. Luke, let's talk about your group. We are, as we speak right now, a day or two away, a day away from you guys beginning the preseason against Saskatoon. But let's go back to training camp. I mean, an energetic time, I'm sure, for everyone involved. But what's the mood? What's the feeling like? The energy level like in your group right now as you get prepared for the preseason and eventually the regular season?
I think energy is a great word that you hit on there. A tremendous amount of enthusiasm here in camp, and both our veteran players and new players alike here just showed a tremendous amount of energy and throughout practices and the games and into the inter squad game and the Bob McGill Cup. It was I thought tremendous hockey and certainly a lot of competition here, which usually breeds energy. So really happy with the week and excited with the next step here with exhibition.
I mean, you talk about it with competition for jobs and maybe a different looking group this year with the number of 19 to 20-year-old players that were part of your team last year. When you look at kind of the group that you're taking into preseason as a whole, what are some of the things that really excite you about the guys you have in the fold?
Well, I think it is that competition for jobs, and it's unlike the past few years where we had a pretty solid idea of what exactly our roster would look like. There's openings and there's people vying for those openings, and I've been really encouraged by the competition, not just for spots on our roster, but for spots within the depth of our roster. So there's guys here that are competing to get top 6 minutes early on in our season, and how they set themselves up early will really indicate that. And I think it's shown. I think we've always prided ourselves on pushing each other here within the Oil Kings to make one another better. And I think the young returning players that we do have clearly gotten that message and are pushing them each other and the veteran guys above them to continue to improve here.
It was certainly a short summer for you guys with the playoff run, the championship run, and then the trip to the Memorial Cup in June as well. But given the fact that maybe now you've had perhaps a couple of months to digest the spring that was and the season that was, have you maybe been able to take some time as a group and as a staff to kind of appreciate just how special that run was?
Absolutely, and I think that'll be something that we'll continue to do here over the next few weeks and month. And once we hang that banner in the rafters here, it'll be time to turn the page a little bit and move on. But we're still kind of soaking in and embracing the lessons that we learned from that run. And we talked about it here as a staff of some of the key components that we felt, in hindsight, really led to that success. And we want to continue to make those staples of our championship culture here in Edmonton. And we're going to preach that to our new group and continue to uphold those values every day here with the way that we perform. But we're going to continue to, like I said, soak in that run, and come September 23rd, it'll be time to turn the page. But there's a lot of lasting lessons that we've taken from that.
Tell me a bit about your older players, Luke. Like I know we're set up to chat with Logan Delhaniuk here in the coming days to kind of set up the season as well. But the Delhaniuks, the Weebs, those guys that were around last year and were big pieces for you during the run. I mean, how are you going to kind of lean on them to kind of help usher these new guys, the Hodnets and so forth, into your group this year?
Yeah, the burden of leadership and responsibility is a massive one, and one that I think those players that you mentioned specifically are ready to embrace. We're going to need them to step up in some different ways than maybe they're used to, and I think a player like Logan Delhaniuk that you mentioned is a guy that's been here since I was started here, 5 years ago, and he's kind of the last remaining Oil King from that time. So he's got a tremendous responsibility to live those values every day that we've built, and pass those messages on to some of our younger players. And it's maybe a little bit out of his comfort zone to be an overly vocal guy, and we're going to need him to just do that with his example. But Jackson Weeb was a player that I thought last year, and as we headed through the playoffs in the Memorial Cup, you saw the value that he can bring. And he's been very good for us early here with just pushing the pace and the tempo of how we practice every day. And I think he's going to be a real valuable resource for our young players just to see um, the transformation that someone can make within a season, and he's a prime example of that.
Lastly, let's talk about you, Luke. And first of all, congratulations on the new role with the Oil Kings. You mentioned it, year five for you after 4 years, kind of working with Brad Lauer on his staff. I mean, it's your second crack at a head coaching position in this league, and I want just to ask you. I mean, given that you've been there for 4 years and you've kind of been through just about everything you can go through with a junior hockey team in Edmonton, how much does the role change for you now as you go from the assistant to the head coaching role here in anticipation of this next season?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And I think first and foremost, I had a tremendous opportunity to learn from a fantastic mentor here in Brad Lauer the last 4 years, and he really allowed me to expand my role as a coach, and learn a lot of valuable lessons that maybe I didn't have the last time I was a head coach in this league. And I'm extremely thankful to the Oilers Entertainment Group and Kurt Hill for giving me a second chance. And I don't think a lot of there's not a lot of us that get that opportunity. So as far as how my role changes, I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot more responsibility on my shoulders to guide this team, and something that I'm comfortable with. But it's going to be a gradual process. I'm not going to flip a switch overnight, and I still have to be the person that I am, which I think is one that really values relationships with not just my players but with my staff, and giving them opportunities to flourish, much like Brad did with me. So I'm excited for a second chance at it. I feel I'm a much better, a more well-rounded coach than I was 7 years ago when I took this same opportunity back in Kootenay. So excited to work with a tremendous staff, and surrounding myself with great people, and can't wait for the year to get started.